My name's Jennifer Crawford, and I'm coming to you from my queer kitchen in Nova Scotia. Today, I'm going to show you how to make arancheezies. These are a riff on arancini, a really classic Italian snack. What you usually use is breadcrumbs. We don't have breadcrumbs, but what we do have is a huge bag of stale Cheezies. It is going to be delicious. Let's do it. So you probably have all these ingredients in your pantry. Let's do a quick run through of them. So to make these arancheezies, you're going to need 2 tablespoons of butter. You're going to need a diced onion, this puppy. You're gonna need 2 cloves of minced garlic. You're gonna need 4 cups of stock. To cook the rice in, which is right here, you're going to need a 1 1/3 cups of rice. And then also to help hold that all together is 2 whisked eggs. Bam. And then this is for garnish, some whole Cheezies. When you've got all your ingredients, you're always gonna wanna start with a bigger pot than you think you need. So we got this big boy, and we're gonna set it to medium. And the first thing we're gonna do is add those 2 tablespoons of butter and get them melted down and nice and hot. Once all your butter is melted and bubbling just a little bit, you're gonna wanna throw in your diced onion. And we're just gonna cook that until it's soft and kind of clear looking. I don't know, takes around 5 minutes usually. Yeah, just a nice, gentle, slow heat. Just enough to take some of the sting out of it before we mix it all together. Best smell. So good. Once your onions are nice and translucent, you're gonna add in onions BFF, some minced garlic, and just let that hang out together for maybe a minute, just until the garlic starts smelling like you want to eat it real bad and it's really nice. Oh, it's already so good. Okay, so once the garlic is nice and softened, the onions are looking nice and translucent and dreamy, you are going to add in your rice. So this is 1 1/3 cup of rice. And again, like, there are certain kinds that are better for this than others, but honestly, we're in a quarantine, we're cooking from our pantry. Use what you got, it'll probably be just fine. And then you waste no time pouring in your stock. It tastes better when you do it that way. So then you're going to bring up the heat a little bit, like medium high, just till it comes to a simmer. And once it's at a simmer, drop it right down to low, and then you put a lid on and let it hang for 20 minutes. What you're doing is literally overcooking the rice on purpose. There is no way to mess this up other than to like maybe let it go dry, but you're not gonna do that. Yeah, this is a wonderful process. And it was usually done to like specifically use up leftover rice. So yeah, if you even have leftover rice in your fridge, you can use that in this case. Once your rice is cooked, you want to give it a nice big stir, and it should look like a little creamy and a bit more like it's falling apart than if you were cooking rice normally. You then put it aside and let it cool completely. And then at that point, you're ready for all of your mix-ins, which is what we're doing now. So this is some nicely cooled rice prepared with the stock and the onions and the garlic. And what happens now is we're adding a whole bunch of flavor and all of the things that are gonna hold those arancheezies together. This kind of started as a joke just because we didn't have breadcrumbs, but yeah, had the Cheezies. It actually ends up being super delicious, which is so fun. So we're adding those 2/3 cup of the cheesy dust, these guys, and then 1/2 cup of shredded cheese, all in. And then eggs are like this lovely, powerful, delicious glue that hold everything together. So we're adding 2 of these that have been whisked together as well. And now I'm just gonna give this a big old stir until it's all evenly distributed. Okay, so at this point, when you're incorporating all this stuff, don't worry about trying to keep the rice intact. Like, you actually kind of do want to smush all this up a little bit. It's going to make the arancheezies hold together a lot better, and just make frying them in the end so much easier. Once you've stirred everything in and it's all nice and even, you're now at the point where you can start shaping your arancheezies. What I like to do is kind of like lay it, like get it all pressed down and like nice and flat in the bowl, and then kind of like portion it out a bit, like with my stir stick, just to kind of get an idea of how much to grab. I literally just kind of make sort of a clockwork pattern, and I know that each of those little slices is supposed to be 2 arancheezies. So when you're ready to start shaping your arancheezies, it's much easier to do with wet hands. So I like to have a little bowl of water right there. And then we're also gonna put them for a little dip in more arancheezy dust, because usually you would roll them in breadcrumbs before you fry them. So something that really helps, I found, is giving them like a nice press together. And then at this point, if you are wanting to stuff them, that is the thing you can do as well. And what you do is just with your thumb, make a nice little impression in the middle. And then whatever it is that you're stuffing them with, herbs, cheese, wishes for the future, you throw that in there and then just seal it up right around. If it's your first time doing this, I wouldn't use something super big, because it does make it riskier in terms of falling apart. But if it's a nice soft cheese, it means there's like the big reward of the cheese pull. So nicely shaped right into the cheesy dust. Look at this little beauty. So when it's time to fry your arancheezies, you want about 1/4 inch of fat in the bottom of the pan, and you want it like medium high. About medium high. Ideally, because you're using a fair amount of oil, it's great if it's cheap. And even better if it's kind of a neutral tasting oil. So we're using canola. Also, as you saw, I just poured in, like, it took probably like, that was 1.5 cups of oil in order to get 1/4 inch in the bottom of this pan. I 100% will strain this after and then use it for frying again probably the next time we make arancheezies. So one way to test if your oil is hot enough is if you take just a drop or 2 of water and flick it in, and if it immediately starts popping back up at you, that's amazing. I have now set this to medium because I don't want fat flying everywhere. That is like too scary, man. So I'm now going to very gently give my arancheezies one last dip in the cheesy dust before we take our oil bath, and then right into the pan. Once your arancheezies are in the hot oil, you don't want to rush this part. Just let them get nice and toasty on every side. As they are toasty enough, they will pull away from the pan, and it'll be easy to kind of roll them onto their next side. And you want to get every single side so you get that nice toasty, crispy bite as much as possible on all of it. Also this way, it'll get enough heat right through to the center to hopefully pull off like a really nice oozy cheese ball in the end. So once your arancheezies are nicely browned and toasty on all sides, you're gonna very carefully with a spoon get them out of there and put them directly, oh sorry, you can't see it, here. You're gonna put them right onto a paper towel to drain, so that way they stay nice and crispy. So when it comes time to plate, I always really like to start with like a nice sauce to just like anchor the arancheezies from sliding around the plate or anything. Also, it's delicious. What I have here is just some tomato sauce that I literally just put through the blender from a meal that we had yesterday. If you have hummus around, if you have salsa around, if you have guacamole around, if you have like some sort of saucy thing that you can put on the bottom, highly recommend you just go for it. So we're starting with tomato. And what I like to do is put like a nice little blob right in the middle. and then just kind of let it use its own weight almost to let itself spread out. I just help it with the spoon a bit. I always start with like the big things and then work my way down to the small things when I'm plating. So then that means the next big thing is our beautiful arancheezies. I'm gonna plate 3 here. Oh, that's so nice. Okay, so when I'm plating, I try and kind of keep parts of all the ingredients as I'm going along because they end up being like really nice on the final plate. In this case, we got a bit of extra cheesy dust. Seems super imperative. Looking good. Very fancy. And then, you know, some whole cheesy. Like you want to see, like if I was cooking with carrots, I'd keep some pieces of all the carrots. In this case, it's Cheezies, which is also pretty nice. So I kind of plant them, just anchor them in the sauce a little bit all around. Yeah, that's nice. And then I have some some parsley that has seen better days. It's really on the way out, but I think there's just enough leaves here for this to be like a nice fresh little bite and a pretty little green bit on the plate. I'm really happy. It looks really nice. Here's a nice plate of arancheezies. Okay, and honestly, the whole reason that I love cooking, the part where you get to eat. Oh, I think we did get a bit of a oozy cheese pull situation. Whoa, come to daddy. It is lovely to eat things you've just made. So wherever you're at today, just sending you so much love and gratitude for watching. And yeah, keep well, stay safe, eat good snacks.